Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our label post design series into this single long video so that it's easy for you to follow. Now in this video we are basically going to see how to display the posts of a specific label in your Blogger website. So here we can see right now the posts related to AI in a Blogger website are displayed over here. And if you go to any of these posts, they are not displayed over here. They will only be displayed on the home page. Now you can go ahead and change this label to whatever you want, and the posts of that label will be displayed over here. And this is also completely responsive. So this is how it will look on a smaller screen. So in this video I'll show you how to build this from scratch using HTML and CSS, and then we will add the design to our Blogger website. Right, so let's get started. So here we can see this is our Blogger website, and right now we can see that all the posts are displayed over here. And if you go to the posts, here we can see that we have different labels for different posts. But here in our home page we have all the posts displayed. Now in this video I'll show you how to display the posts of a specific label over here in the home page. So let's get started. Right, the first thing we will do is we'll just see where we want to display the posts. So let's right click over here and let's click on inspect. And here we can see this is how the website is structured. And let's see where we want to display the posts. So here we can see we have the header, and after the header we can display the posts with the specific label. So let's search for the end of the header tag. So let's go back to our dashboard, and here let's go to theme. And I'm using this theme called Contempolite. So let's click on this arrow and let's click on edit HTML. And here I'll just search for the end of the header tag. So I'll just press Command F, or if you're using Windows you can just press Control F, and let's search for <header. And here we can see this is where the header ends. So here let's add an element and let's see whether it is being displayed. So I'll just type testing, and let's click on save. And now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And we have testing displayed over here. Now we know that it is in the correct place. So let's go ahead and start displaying the posts. Before that I'll just add some basic styling over here. So let's go back and I'll just change this into a division, and let's give it a class of label posts container. And let's add a style tag over here, and I'll just add some basic CSS over here. And here I'll just type dot label posts container, and let's set the background color to white, and let's add a padding, and let's set it to 24 pixels, and let's set the font size to 18 pixels, and let's set the color of the text to black. And here I'll just type testing, and we have a typo over here. I'll just type label, L-A-B-A-L, and let's click on save. Now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. Now we can see we have the correct styling. Let's also add some margin. Now these are just basic styles. We're not focusing on design in this video. So let's refresh, and this is how it looks right now. Right now let's display the list of all the posts with the specific label. So for that let's go back to our theme code. Here we need to create a script tag, and we will use Blogger JSON feed API for getting the data. Let me just show you how it looks. So I'll just open this website in a new tab. And here if you just type /feeds /posts /default (alt equals JSON), and now if I press enter, here we can see we have all this data displayed over here, and these are all the data from our Blogger website. So if you go over here to entry, in that we have all the posts. So here we can see we have the published date, we have the category, and we have the title and the content. So everything is fetched over here with this URL right here. And I'm seeing this in this organized fashion. That's because I'm using a plugin. So here I'm using a plugin called JSON Formatter, So you can just install that in Google Chrome and you'll find the data in a formatted way. Right now, if you take a look at this entry array, if I just fold this, here we can see there are 9 items. So if we go back to our Blogger dashboard, here it says we have 9 posts. Now what we need to do is we need to get the posts from a specific label. So I'll just choose a label from here. I'll just choose the label tips. So we have 1, 2, and 3 posts with the label tips. So for that, let's go back to this URL, and here we need to change this to display the posts of a specific label. So for that, you have to type // and here you need to add the label. So I'll just type tips and let's press enter. And now if you scroll down and if I just fold this entry array, now we can see it says we have 4 items. Let's go back to our posts, and we indeed have 4 posts. We didn't count this earlier. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now let's go ahead and test with another label. So if I just select this label VR, we have just 1 post with the label VR. So let's go back over here, and instead of tips, I'll just type VR and let's press enter. Now if you scroll down and if you take a look at the entry, now we can see we have just 1 item. So this URL is working all right. Now here we can also limit the number of results that we get. So I'll just choose this label for now, technology, because we have many posts in that. So I'll just change this to technology. And if you go to entry, here we can see we have 5 items. But if I just add one more attribute over here, here you can just type max results and we can set it to a number. So I'll just type 3. Now here, since we have another parameter, we also have to add an ampersand. And now if you press enter, now if you scroll down and if we take a look at the entry, now we can see we have just 3 items. Right now we need to use this URL in our script. So here I'll just type src equals, and I'll just close the script over here. And let's go back to our website, and we need to copy from this / till the end. And let's copy and paste it over here inside the source. And here we need to make some changes. The first thing is that we need to change alt equals JSON to alt equals JSON in script. So just change this to JSON in script. And now we need to add a callback function. So let's type ampersand callback, and we need to add the name of a function over here. So we'll create a function called display label posts. Right now let's create a script tag over here for the JavaScript, and here let's create a function called display label posts. So I'll just type const display label posts. Now when we use this URL and we use JSON in script, then we also get some data in the callback function. So I'll just call it posts over here, and here I'll just console.log the data. So just type posts, and let's save it and let's see whether we have any errors. And here we can see we have this error. That's because we are using ampersand. Now since this is XML, we have to type ampersand AMP semicolon. We have to do the same for all the ampersands. So here also we need to type ampersand AMP semicolon, and let's save it. Right now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page, and let's open the console. And here we have this object. Let's open it, and here we have feed. Let's open the feed, and in that we have the entry, and in the entry we have 3 items. So the data is being fetched correctly. Now let's go ahead and create some code to display it on the screen. So here we can see we have the data inside feed, and in that we have the entry, and in that we have all these posts. So let's go back to our code, and here I'll just call a function, and let's create the function over here. I'll just create a function called populate label posts, and we'll get the data over here. I'll just call it data, and here let's call the function. So I'll just type populate label posts, and let's pass posts which we get from here dot feed dot entry. Right now here in this data we get all the entry. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new S3, and in that we're going to add the title of the posts. So first of all, let me just reference this division with the class of label post container. So let's type const label posts container equals document dot query selector label posts container. And here first of all we need to create an S3. So let's type const S3 equals document dot create element, and let's type S3 over here. Now in the S3 we need to add the title. So let's type S3 dot inner HTML equals. Now let's go back to the JSON data and let's see how the title is displayed. So here we have the entry, and in the entry we have all these objects, and in that we have the title, and the title we have a value called $T. So let's go back, and here we need to loop through all this data. So let's create a for each loop for that. So I'll just type data dot for each, and for each of the data I'll just call post. You can name this anything you want. Let's create an arrow function over here, and we need to add these two lines of code inside this for each. So I'll just paste it over here. Now we need to set this to post, which we get from here, dot title, and in that we had $T. Now we need to add this S3 to this label post container. So let's type label posts container dot append child, and let's type S3, and let's save this. Now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now here we can see we have these three posts with the label that we had in the URL. So we had the posts from this label technology. So if you go to posts, here we can see that the first post is best image generation tools, and here we can see this is the first title. Then we have how search engine works. So this is the post, and then the next one is VR, things to look out for. So this is the post. I'll just change this title. So here I'll just type posts related to technology, and let's save it. Now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now we can see it says posts related to technology, and we have these posts over here. Let's go ahead and change the label. So I'll just change the label to AI. So let's go back to the code, and here I'll just change this to AI. And here in this URL we need to change technology to AI, and let's save it. Now here for the post we can see the first title should be how to make your life easy with ChatGPT. The second one should be the best image generation tools, and the third one should be this one right here, AI things you should learn. So let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And here we can see we have the correct posts displayed over here. So that's basically how you can display the posts from a specific label in your Blogger homepage. So here we can see we are displaying 3 posts related to this AI label. In the previous video I had shown you how to display these posts over here. Now in this video we will create a design to make it look better. So this is how the design is going to look. We have these 3 posts over here. We have the title, we have a summary, and this read more button, and also this thumbnail. And this is completely responsive. So if I decrease the width of the browser window, this is how it will look on smaller screens. So in this video I'll show you how to design this using HTML and CSS, and in the next video we will add all the content of the blog posts inside this design, and we will display this design into our Blogger website. So let's get started. Right here I have created this folder called label posts, and I just opened it with VS Code. And here I also have a folder called images, and in that we have these 3 images. We're going to use that in our design. So let's go ahead and create a new file, and let's call it index.html. And let's create one more file and let's call it style.css. And let's start with the index.html file. So in VS Code you can just press exclamation and press tab, and you'll have this basic HTML5 code. Right, let's link our CSS file over here. So I'll just type style.css in the href. And let's start with the markup over here. So the first thing we will do is we'll create a container division, and let's give it a class of label posts container. And in this division we will have a separate division for each of these blog posts. So let's give it a class of label post, and in this we need to have this thumbnail and all this text content. Now here we can see this thumbnail is actually a link, so we need to include the img tag inside an anchor tag. So let's create an anchor tag, and for now I'll just set the href to hash, and let's also give it a class so that we can style it in CSS. And let's give it a class of thumb container, and in this we'll create an img tag, and for the src let's type images / and I have this image called blog1.jpg. And the next thing we need to have are these text content. So for that I'll just create a division with the class of text content, and in that we will have, first of all we need to have the heading. So the heading is also a link, so I'll just create an anchor tag, and let's give it a class of post title container, and then we will have an s3, and let's give it a class of post title, and let's add the post title over here. And the next thing we need to have is the summary. So for that let's create a division with the class of summary, and I'll just add some random text. I'll just type lorem and 20 and press tab, and here we can see it has generated some random text. And the next thing we need to have is this read more button. So for that let's create an anchor tag, and let's give it a class of read more btn, and here let's type read more. Right, this is the first post, so I'll just copy this division from here, and I'll just paste it 2 more times. Right, now we have 3 posts, and let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So here I have this extension called live server installed in VS Code. So once you install that, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on open with live server. And here we can see our design is displayed in the browser. Now let's go ahead and style this. So let's go back to our source code, and let's go to the style.css file, and first of all let's target the images because we cannot see any other element because of the image. So just type label posts container, label post img, and let's set the height of the image to 180 pixels, and this is how it looks. We'll also set the object fit to cover so that it has the correct proportions. Right, now the next thing we will do is we will add a background color to the body. So let's tap body, and here let's tap background, and I'll just set the background color to EDF2F4, and we'll also bring these elements to the center. So I'll just type display of grid and place items to the center, and let's also set the font family to Roboto. So I'll just type font family Roboto and sans serif. Right, now let's style the individual posts. So let's type label post container, and for each of the individual posts we have this division with the class of label post. So let's type label post, and first of all let's set the background color to white, and we'll set the display to flex. Now let's bring this text content to the center vertically. So here let's type align items to the center, and now let's add a max width. So let's type max width, and I'll just set it to 700 pixels. Now let's add some space between these posts. So here for the container division, which is label post container, let's type label post container, and let's set the display to flex, and we'll also set the flex direction to column, and let's set a gap of 24 pixels. And now we can see we have this gap between these posts. Right, now let's add some box shadow. So for the label post, let's type box shadow, and let's set the values to 0, 4 pixels, 40 pixels, negative 8 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.3, and this is how it looks. Now the next thing we will do is we will set the width of the image to 1/3 of the width of the post. So for that let's go back to our code, and let's target the image, and the image is actually inside this anchor tag which has a class of thumb container. So let's go ahead and target that. So I'll just type label post container, thumb container, And for this we'll set the flex to 1, and for the text content we will set a flex of 2. So let's target the text content. For that we have this division with the class of text content. So here let's tap label post container text content, and let's tap flex of 2. And now let's target the image, and here let's set the width to 100% of the parent. And now we can see 1/3 of the width is assigned to this image. Now here we can see for the image at the bottom we have a little bit of gap. So for that let's go back, and here we can just tap display of flex, and now we can see that the gap is gone. Right now we need to have some gap between the image and this text content. So for that let's go to the text content styles, and here let's add a padding. So let's tap padding, and let's set the padding to 16 pixels and 24 pixels. And now we can see we have this gap. Now let's go ahead and style this heading. So for the heading we have this anchor tag with the class of post title container. So let's type label post container post title container, and the first thing we will do is we will remove the underlines. So let's tap text decoration and let's set it to none. And when we hover over this heading we need to have the underline. So let's tap label post container post title container, hover, and let's tap text decoration underline. And now when we hover over this we can see that we have this underline. Right now let's add some styles to the heading inside the anchor tag. So for the heading we have this S3 with the class of post title. So let's tap label post container post title, and here the first thing we will do is we'll set the margin to 0, and let's set the font size to 24 pixels, and let's add some margin to the bottom. So let's tap margin bottom, and I'll just set it to 8 pixels. And let's also change the color of the text. So I'll just tap color, and let's set the color to EF233C. Right now let's style this summary. So for the summary we have this division with the class of summary. So let's type label post container summary, and for the summary let's set the line height of the text to 1.8, and let's set the color of the text to 023047, and we'll also set the opacity of the text to 0.9. Right now the next thing we need to have is we need to have this effect where the text just fades out at the bottom. So for that we will use the after selector in CSS. So let's tap label post container summary : after. Now the after selectors are used to add additional data to your element. So here if I just tap content, and if I just tap 1, 2, 3, now we can see after this summary we have 1, 2, 3 displayed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove 1, 2, 3 from here, and we'll just leave the content blank, and we'll create a rectangle, and we will add a linear gradient color to that. Now we need to position this after selector relative to this summary. So here we need to type position relative, and here we need to type position absolute, and let's set the bottom position to 0, and let's set the left position to 0, and let's set the height of the element to 32 pixels, and we'll set the width of the element to 100%. And now let's add a background color, and let's set it to linear gradient, and the first color we need to have is transparent, and the next color we need to have is the white color. So now we can see that the text fades out at the bottom. Now let's go ahead and add a fixed height to this summary. So right now if you go back to the HTML, and if we add some more text over here, and now if you go back to our design, here we can see that all the text is displayed over here. We just have the fade out for the last sentence. So what we will do is we will have a fixed height for this summary. So let's go back to the style.css file, and let's go to summary, and here let's type height, and let's set the height to, let's try 80 pixels, and we need to set the overflow to hidden so that anything outside 80 pixels is not being displayed. And now we can see everything looks alright. Let's also add some margin bottom. So let's tap margin bottom, and let's set the margin bottom to 8 pixels. Let's see how it looks, and I think that looks alright. Now the next thing we need to style is this read more button. Let's target that. For that we have this anchor tag with the class of read more btn. So let's type label post container read more btn, and let's set the color of the text to 023047. Let's set the font weight to bold, and we'll set the font size to 13 pixels, and we'll set the text transform to uppercase, and we'll also remove the underline. So let's type text decoration and let's set it to none. I think we can have a different color, so let's change this to dark blue, and I think that looks alright. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to move this read more button to the right side. So for that, let's go ahead and select this container division, which is text content, and we'll set the display of this to flex, and let's set the flex direction to column. Now let's go back to the read more button, and here we need to type align self, and we need to set it to flex end, so this will move it to the right. And now we can see we have the read more button in the correct place. Let me just quickly go ahead and change these images. So for the second one, let's change this to block2.jpg, and for the third one, let's change this to block3.jpg, and this is how it looks. So our desktop version is complete. Now let's go ahead and style the mobile version. So let's decrease the width of the browser window, and let's add a media query. So here let's type at media, and let's set it to max width of 640 pixels. So whenever the screen width is less than 640 pixels, all the CSS in this block will be added to our design. So the first thing we need to do is we need to bring these two elements one below the other. We need to have the thumbnail at the top and the text content at the bottom. So here we can see we have the thumbnail at the top and the text content at the bottom. So let's go back, and here let's target the container division, which is this division with the class of label post. So let's type label post container label post, and let's set the flex direction to column. And now we can see that the thumbnail is at the top and the text content at the bottom. Now let's go ahead and set a height and width to this image. So let's target the image. Let's type label post container label post img, and let's set the width to 100%, and we'll also set a height of 200 pixels. And here the image still doesn't have 100% width, so we need to go to the container division of the image, and the container is basically an anchor tag. So we need to go to the selector of the anchor tag, and it is called thumb container. So here we need to type width, and we need to set it to 100%. And now we can see everything looks alright. Let's take a look at the desktop version. So the design is complete. Now let's open the theme code of our Blogger website. So let's go to the dashboard, and let's click on theme, and let's click on this arrow, and let's click on edit HTML. Now we had added this code after the header, so let's search for the end of the header tag. So just search for /header, and after this header we can see that this is our code. So we have this styling, and this is the code to display our post. So what we will do is I'll just keep this code as it is, and we'll make changes in this function right here. So right now in this function we are looping through all the posts, and we are just displaying the post title as an S3. Now if you go to the design, here we can see we have the thumbnail, we have the title, we have a summary of the post, and we also have this read more button. And we also need to get the link of the post, so that when we click on this image or this title, we need to go to that post. So we need to get all this information from the Blogger website. So if we go back to the theme code, and if we scroll down, here we can see this is the script that we are using to get the data. Now if you go back to our website, and if I just type here /feed/default, and if I press enter, and if you scroll down and if we open entry, here we can see all these posts are displayed over here. Now here we can see we have the title inside the title object, and if you scroll down here we have the content of the blog post, and then we have the link and all those things over here, but we don't have the summary of the post. We have the complete content of the post. Now we don't need to get this complete post to display in our design over here. We just need to get the summary. So for that, what you can do is, instead of default, you can just type summary. And if I press enter, and now if you scroll down and if you open entry, and if you scroll down here, we can see that instead of the content, we have the summary displayed over here. So let's go back to the theme code, and here instead of default, I'll just change this to summary. Right now, let's write the code to extract all the data and create the markup. So if you go back to the source code, and here we can see that the first thing we need to have is the link of the post. And in the anchor tag, we have the img tag, and in that we need to get the thumbnail of the post. And then we need to create this division with the class of text content, and in that we need to have an anchor tag with the link of the post, and we need to have an S3, and then we need to have the summary, and then we need to have the read more button with the link of the post. And we need to add all of this inside this division with the class of label post. So we need to dynamically generate all this content using JavaScript. So let's go back and do that. So I'll just remove all this content from here, and let's start from scratch. So the first thing we will do is we will create this anchor tag for the thumbnail. So let's create a constant, and let's name it thumb container, and we'll set it equal to document dot create element, and we need to create an anchor tag. So let's type A, and then for this thumb container we need to have the href. So let's type thumb container dot href equals, and for the href we need to have the link of the post. So let's go back to our JSON data, and let's see where is the link. Here we can see we have this link array, and if you scroll down, the last object of the array has this href, and in that we have the link of the post. So for that, let's go back to our code. Now in this function we are getting all the posts in this data, and here from the data we are looping through each of the posts. Now for each of the single posts, I'm just calling it post. So here we need to type post dot link, and we need to get the last item. So here we need to type post dot link dot length. So this will give us the length of the array -1. So this will give us the index of the last item. Because the array starts from 0, we need to type -1 over here. And then we need to type dot href, because here we can see the link is inside href. So this will give us the link of the post, and we will store it inside this thumbnail container href. Now we also need to add a class to this anchor tag. We need to add a class of thumb container. So let's type thumb container dot class list dot add, and let's type thumb container. Right now the next thing we need to do is we need to create this img tag. So let's type const, and we just call it thumbnail, and let's type document dot create element img. Now for this thumbnail we need to set the source to the thumbnail of the post. So let's type thumbnail dot src equals, and if you go back to the data, and let's see where is the thumbnail. So here we can see for the thumbnail we have this media $symbol thumbnail, and in that we have the URL. So let's go back and let's type post dot media $symbol thumbnail dot URL. Now if you go ahead and open this thumbnail, so I'll just open this in a new tab. This is how the thumbnail looks right now. Now the size of the thumbnail is too low. So if you go and take a look at this link, here we can see we have this /S72. So this is basically the resolution of the thumbnail. Now if we just change this to something bigger, so if I just type S300, and if I press enter, now we can see we have a bigger thumbnail. So what we need to do is we need to replace /S72 with a different number. So let's go back, and here let's type dot replace, and here let's type /S72, and we need to replace it with /S300. Right now the next thing we need to do is we need to add this thumbnail inside this thumb container, because here we can see the img tag is inside the anchor tag. So for that you need to type thumb container dot append child, and we need to add thumbnail over here. Right now the next thing we need to have is this anchor tag. Before that, let's create this division with the class of text content. So let's type const text content equals document dot create element, and here let's type div, and we need to give it a class of text content. So let's type text content dot class list dot add text content. Right now we need to create this anchor tag for this post title container. So we can just copy this from here and let's paste it over here, and I'll just change the name to post title container, and I'll just copy it and paste it over here and here. And here for the class we need to change this to post title container. So let's type post title container. Right now we need to create the title. So for the title we need to have an S3. So let's type const title equals document dot create element, and let's create an S3. And for the post title we need to have this class of post title. So let's type title dot class list dot add post title, and inside the title we need to add the title of the post. So let's type title dot inner HTML equals, and let's go back to the JSON data and let's see how the title is interpreted. So here we can see for the title we have this title, and in that we have $T. So let's type post dot title dot $T. Right now we need to add this title inside this post title container. So here we can see the S3 is inside the anchor tag. So let's type post title container dot append child, and here let's type title. Right now let's go back, and the next thing we need to have is the summary. So let's type const summary equals document, and this is a div. So let's type create element div, and we need to have a class of summary. So let's type summary dot class list dot add summary, and inside the summary we need to add the actual summary of the post. So let's type summary dot inner HTML equals, let's go back to the data, and here we can see for the summary we have this summary, and in that we have $T. So let's type post dot summary dot $T. Now the next thing we need to do is create this read more button. So let's type const read more btn equals document dot create element, and it is an anchor tag, and we need to give it a class of read more btn. So let's type read more btn dot class list dot add read more btn, and here in this href we need to add the link of the post. So I'll just copy this line of code from here and let's paste it over here, and here instead of post title container I'll just type read more btn. Now in this anchor tag we need to have this text read more. So let's type read more btn dot inner HTML equals read more. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to add this post title container, the summary, and the read more button inside this text content division. So we have already created this division over here called text content. So let's type text content dot append child, and here let's type post title container and text content dot append child, and let's type summary and text content dot append child, and let's type read more btn. Now we need to add all of this inside this division with the class of label post. So let's see whether we have created the division, and we haven't created the division label post. So let's create it over here. Let's type const label post equals document dot create element div, and let's give it a class of label post dot class list dot add label post, and in this we need to add the thumb container and the text content. So here we can see we have the thumb container and then we have the text content. So let's type label post dot append child thumb container, label post dot append child, and text content. And now we need to add all of this inside this label post container. So if you scroll up, here we can see we are already referencing this label post container. So let's type label posts container dot append child, and let's type label post. Right now let's go ahead and add the styling. So here we already have this styling. I'll just delete this, and let's go back and let's go to the style.css file, and let's copy all the styling from this line of code till the end, and let's paste it over here. And now let's see whether this works. So let's click on save, and let's go to our website, and let's go to the home page. And here we can see that the posts are being displayed. Let's open one of these posts. So let's click on this thumbnail, and we are taken to that post right here. Now we need to display this only on the home page. So let's go ahead and add an if condition. So here I'll just type less than b colon if cond, and for the condition let's type data colon blog dot url equals data colon blog dot homepage url, and let's close the if condition right here. Right now if we save this, and if we go back to our website, and if I refresh this page, here we can see on the home page we have the 3 posts displayed, and if we open any other post, here we don't have the post displayed. So the if condition is working alright. Now let's add some styling to this to make it look better. So what we will do is we will add a background color, and we'll also bring all this content to the center. So let's go back and let's go to the CSS. Now here for the label post container, let's type background, and let's set it to white, and let's also add a padding, and let's set the padding to 24 pixels, and we'll also add a margin, and let's set the margin to 32 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Right now let's save this, and let's go back to our website, and let's refresh this page, and this is how it looks. Let's also bring this to the center. So let's type align items to the center, and we'll also change the height of the image a little bit. So let's go to inspector, and here for the img tag, let's change the height a little bit. So I think 200 looks alright. So let's go back to the code, and let's go to the CSS of the image, and here for the height let's change this to 200, and let's save this. Now let's go back to our website, and let's refresh this page, and now we can see everything looks alright. Let's click on the read more button, and it is working alright. Now let's go ahead and change the label, and let's see whether it is working. So right now the label is AI. So let's go back to the code, and let's scroll down. First of all, let's go back to the list of posts, and let's see what are the labels available. So here we have other labels like tips, technology, and so on. So let's select tips. So this should display these 3 posts. We need to have how to make your life easy with ChatGPT, how search engine works, and what is on my office desk. Right now we have different posts. So let's go back, and here let's type tips, and let's scroll up, and here also I'll just change this to tips, and let's click on save. And now let's go back to our website, and let's refresh this page. And now we can see we have different posts. We have the post related to tips. So that's basically how you can display the posts of a specific label in your Blogger website. Let's also check whether it is responsive. And here we can see it is completely responsive. Now in this video, I'll show you how to display the posts of multiple labels. So for example, right now we have the posts of the label AI displayed over here. Now in the same way, we will also display the posts of different labels over here below this. Now there are different ways of doing this. So here I'm in the dashboard of my Blogger website. So let's click on this arrow and let's click on edit HTML. And let's search for the end of the header tag where we have the code. So here's the code. So let's scroll down and let's go to the JavaScript. And here we have the JavaScript. Before that, let's go ahead and make some changes in the HTML. So here we can see right now we have this division with the class of label post container. And in that we are displaying these posts over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create different divisions for different labels. So let's go ahead and add a new class name over here. So I'll just type AI posts. And now let's go ahead and copy this and paste it down here. And for this we will have a different class name according to the label. So let's go back to the posts. And here we can see that we have other labels as well. So we have tips, technology, and social media. Now for the second division, let's select technology. So here I'll just type technology. And here instead of AI posts, I'll just change this class name to technology posts. Now in the same way, you can go ahead and create different divisions for different labels. I'll just create these two divisions. Now the next thing we need to do is instead of referencing this label post container, we have to reference these different classes. So we have to reference AI posts and technology posts. So let's go ahead and change this to AI posts. And here I just change the class name to AI posts. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. And here instead of AI posts, let's type technology posts. And here for the class name, I'll just type technology posts. Now if you have more divisions, you can go ahead and reference all of them over here. Now the next thing we need to do is we have to change this class right here. So right now we are adding all the content to the label post container. Now we have changed that over here. So we have different constants for the different classes. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one more argument over here. So right now we have data, and here I'll just add one more argument. I'll just type container. So this is going to be this container where we're going to add the content. So let's scroll down, and here instead of label post container, I'll just change this to container. So we're going to pass the container when we call this class along with the data. So here we have this function called display label post. I'll just change this to display AI label posts. Now here instead of just one argument, I'll just add one more argument for the container. Now we want to display all the data inside this division with the class of AI posts. So let's add that over here. I'll just type AI posts. And then here we have the script. And here instead of display label posts, I'll just copy this function from here and let's paste it over here. I'll just remove this console.log from here. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to copy this function. And we need to create one more function for displaying the technology labels. So here we have technology posts. So here let's type display technology label posts. And here instead of just post field entry, we'll also add technology posts, which we are referencing over here. And now we need to create one more script. So let's copy this. And let's paste it down here. And here instead of display all label posts, I'll just change this to this function name. So I'll just copy this and paste it over here. And here instead of AI, let's change this to technology. Right now let's go ahead and save this. And let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And here we have the post related to AI. Let's scroll down. And for the technology, the posts are not being displayed. So let's go back. And let's see what's the problem. So here we have T capital. So we need to change this to small t. So let's go ahead and change this to small t. And let's save it. And now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now here we have the post related to AI. And if you scroll down, here we have the post related to technology. So everything is working all right. Now in the same way, you can go ahead and add any number of label posts over here. So you can just go ahead and add one more division over here and give it a different name, and then just reference that over here in the script. And then over here you can create one more function with a specific name for that label, and here you can pass the reference of the division and just go ahead and copy the script for the next label. So this is basically how you can display the posts of different labels on your Blogger website. Now there are multiple ways of doing this, and this is one of the methods. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.